Hey timeless travelers, welcome back to the channel. If you're new to the channel, welcome to the channel. It's kind of loud where I'm at and the mic kind of got messed up on the way here, so sorry about that. However, guys, I am at Club Med Charlevoix in Quebec. We are actually going to head out today because, you know, when you go to an all-inclusive, a lot of times people don't leave the resort. Today I'm going to show you something that you can do in the Charlevoix region if you want to leave Quebec. Come along with me. I'll be right back.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
Alright guys, we are at the Bootlegger, which is out here in the woods. Like seriously, it's out here in the woods. We had to go up a hill. It was like so serious, like the bus had to back up and get a running start because it's so icy up the hill. But once we got up here, yeah, this is the Bootlegger. So we're headed in and we're gonna eat dinner, we're gonna have a show, we're gonna have a tour of the property, so I'm excited. Alright guys, I am in Bootleggers in the Charlevoix region of Quebec. So as you see the sign, it says welcome to the Bootleggers. Ring the bell, go down these stairs, and then go up the secret staircase to the attic. So these steps are super steep. Illegal activities in progress. Enter at your own risk. So y'all see how steep these steps are, right? Ooh, child. And then you go back over here. So these are the steps I just came down. These are steps I'm going up. And they are super, super steep. So we are going up the stairs. And yep, there are dogs in the restaurant. Speakeasy. And then this is what it looks like. So I'll show you guys in a minute.
Hey everyone. Good evening, good evening. That's pretty loud, right? Yes. Everyone hears me, right?
Yes.
Alright, perfect. So, first of all, welcome to the Bootlegger. I think it's probably... Thank you very much. I think it's probably all your first time here, right? And where do you all guys come from? All over, like Las Vegas? Okay, so my next question will be, why are you guys here? The weather was not nice enough? No? Alright, so for tonight, so rock and roll music from the 50s, 60s until today. So it's 2 hours of rock and roll music. 2 hours, yeah, exactly. Do you have any questions? No, everything's fine? Wish you all a good evening. Thank you very much.
I wasn't even recording. Okay, now I am.
I have one that looks like it. EOS.
Yep, yep. Down the stairs?
Down the stairs.
Please
watch the last step.
Watch the last step, guys.
Watch the last step.
Ooh, this is a beautiful chandelier.
Amazing. Lovely, eh?
It is beautiful.
I love it too.
The last step is a little harder.
Unsupervised children will be sold to the highest bidder.
I love it.
Be careful on that one. Be careful on the bottom one.
Be careful on the last step.
Watch for the last step. You've noticed that the stairs are a little crooked, eh?
Yes.
Late at night it would become level. So we're just going to go outside for a few seconds and turn right back in, okay?
Okay.
Please watch your step.
That'll wake me up. That's good.
All right, we're running through the doors.
There you go.
Oh my God, did you see that? I saw that. that.
So my little trick.
I saw your little trick.
Got you awake?
Yes.
Thank
Have everyone?
Yes, and the last
You're the
one.
beautiful last one. Can you please close the door behind you?
Absolutely.
And put the little...
Lock it.
There you go. Thank you so much. I'm Trish, so I will be doing the tour with you. It will last for about 15 minutes. So I'm just going to go back in time, explain a little bit about Prohibition. In the States, the Prohibition lasted 13 years, from 1920 to 33. In Canada, 86 years. It was voted by the Ottawa government in 1878, and it lasted up until 1964.
Wow.
In Quebec, we had two different types of county, dry county, wet counties, and it was the local that would sign or vote to become or to decide to become prohibited or not. In Charlevoix, we became prohibited for that reason. That is the reason why a rich American would come here in Quebec, Mr. Norrie Sherman Salar. He's a gentleman from the States, Pennsylvania. The parents were really rich. The parents made their money out of slavery in South Carolina with cotton fields. This gentleman was born in 1903. He's ahead of his time. He wanted the black and the white to be equals. He had great respect for the ladies, for the women. He actually added his mother's name to his name to show the love that he has for ladies. So his name was Norrie Salar, and he became Norrie Sherman Salar. He first came here in 1930, bought a big land, and he made a hunting, fishing camp out of it for rich people that would come from the States and Europe. He came back 3 years later with his family. He needed a house for the family. He didn't have any house on the land that he bought, so he found this house 30 minutes from here. It's an old Canadian house. He numbered every pieces of it. He reconstructed it here. It took 6 years to rebuild the whole house. Wow. It was a normal family house, therefore he had to increase the size of his attic to make his speakeasy. And he also used the reconstruction to do this, the labyrinth that you will see. He did the labyrinth to keep his family safe, just like Queen and King would do in European castles. So that is the reason why you will see the labyrinth. Behind you, you have different pictures of the reconstruction site itself. You will notice the center picture, the one down below, you'll notice that the roof is held with sticks. And that was the way to keep air or let air in or light into the speakeasy. We had spies everywhere around the house. If we were told that we were in danger, we would simply remove the sticks and the roof would fall back onto itself. And you notice the picture on the right hand side, it looks like a normal house. No one can tell that there's an illegal bar at the attic level. So those are all tricks that he has done to keep the secret of the house. We've never been caught per se. Some people got to know. We simply pay them to keep them silent. We will keep on going to the next room. It will be the bedroom of Dolores. She was the cook for 38 years for the family and the clients. So please come in here. An old typewriter. I learned to type. Oh, really? Yeah, so that tells you a little bit about my age. Oh my goodness, that was a nightmare. You made one mistake, you had to use a little tape, go back one spot and then type and redo the whole thing. A lot of fun, eh? So we are into Dolores' bedroom. You can see Dolores on all the pictures. She was the second cook actually. The grandfather was the main cook and she became the chef cook after the grandfather retired. So she was quite young when she started. She was 13 years old, and back then when the family would hire someone like this, they would reside into the house. They would live into the house. That's why she has her bedroom. We've noticed that we are just beside the office of Mr. Salar. Just want to tell you that this was not a bordel or a prostitute house. There was none of this here. People would come to have fun, so she was safe and sound, and he really liked her and he took care of her like she was his daughter itself. You have Dolores along with Dolores' son, Owen Tremblay. Owen has a quick story link with Elvis Presley. I'll tell you the story later on. Remember that I told you that we could remove the sticks from the roof. It would fall back into itself. We would fall back into pitch dark. That's not a problem. We were dining into those wooden plates. We would put holes into them to keep candles available if we had to close the roof. Then with the candles, we keep on eating like nothing happened. You have all taken the stairs to go down and up. There's no reason to go down. There's no basement. It was just to waste time. So if people were not invited, by the time they get down and up the tiny staircase, we would hear them. There's a trap at the speakeasy level. We would simply close it on them, and they had no other entry to the speakeasy bar. So that's the one way of keeping our secret here back. There's 22 lakes on his land. Each lake had their own cabin, so the people could come here into the house, and then after the party go back to their cabins. Otherwise, the people would come from the Manoir Richelieu. I don't know if you know the Manoir Richelieu. It's about 30-minute drive to here nowadays. Back then, it took 5 years to come here from the Manoir. There was no road, so they had to use canoe, horses, and even walk for a few hours to come here. So you needed to be invited, you needed money, you needed a guide. So it was easier to keep the secret having those formats or this way of doing things back then. The next door to the next room is right here. If you want to open it up for us, please. There you go. And you will enter the first illegal casino of Canada.
First illegal.
You like illegal things, eh? Yes. We all do. We all do. The gentleman was just asking me the fireplace on the other.
Is it the same one?
It is the same one. So we call it a pit, P-I-T, a Texan pit because it was used in Texas. So this is the original one dated 1939 that we're still using nowadays for your own steaks. Okay. Exactly the same way, maple wood and ivory as well added to add a little flavor to it. Yep.
That's what we smell, the hickory.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah, thank you for your question. And so you are into the first illegal casino of Canada. You notice there's no chairs, no table. It was also like this back then. They were sitting on the floor around the play. So you would have to see those rich people sit down on the floor around the play. So they could invent games. They would play roulette, they could play chess games, but most of the time they would play cards games, such as poker or blackjack, the games that we managed to say. I told you that Mr. Seller was a gentleman out of his area. He was ahead of his time. In Quebec, we used to have what we call taverns, and ladies were not welcome to taverns. It was men only. But if you look at the picture behind you on the wall here, you will notice that there's as many women as men. There's people of all different background, religion, ethnicity. Everyone was welcome here. As long as you had money, you were welcome to come and play and have fun with us. But you needed to be invited. So most of the time it was the same people coming all over again. They form some sort of a clan. So we will keep on moving. We will go to the next room, which is Mrs. Seller's bedroom, this way. That is the original door. Nowadays we have added a terrace, but back then we would simply come in and out the casino from that door. It's the original size of it, so we would play 4, 5, 6 people at a time. So it was easier to hide people from the wood coming in and out the house. There was no problem to be caught, per se. All right? So this way, please, we will move to Mrs. Seller's bedroom, right here.
Oh, yeah.
You were working really hard. Yes.
Oh, this was tight. That was cozy.
Everything was working, right?
The animals, the house, the room. It was closer to normal.
Right.
Do we have everyone? I guess so. If we could close the set door just to show that we came through a library. And so this is Mrs. Seller's bedroom. Mr. Seller's bedroom is on the other side of the wall. It's now used by the musician when they have no place to stay. That is why we don't visit the room anymore. But it's the same size as bedroom, exactly the same thing, same fireplace. There's one major difference between the two rooms though, is that in the past we would have never dared to visit a lady's room. We would have never done that. It was really impolite. So that is the reason why we would enter the alcohol into the house from her bedroom. So the bootleggers at night would come without being seen, having flasks like this in their boots. That's where the word bootlegger come from. Bootleggers. So they were putting the flask into those boots, traveling with it on the horse, so they couldn't see or they noticed that they were traveling with alcohol. And at night, behind the wall, there used to be a trap. They would simply put the flask of alcohol into the trap, get the money they were owed for, close the trap, and go back in the woods without being seen. The next morning, Mr. Seller, the owner, would come through the library on the right-hand side, give a kiss to the spouse, and bring with him a stick that he would use as a hook. And there's a little hole below the window here. He would put really hard on it and open up the trap. And so that's where we would gather all the alcohol left behind from the bootleggers at night, the previous night. We've never been caught. We have kept the same trap and the same secret throughout. The people that were hired to keep the house safe, the spies, were people that had reconstructed the house, so we were able to keep the secret throughout all those years, 1939 up to 1964, end of Prohibition. So we've never been caught. We have never used it to escape per se, but it was made for that purpose as well. But we have never used it to escape. We never had to. And on the wall you have Owen Tremblay pictures. He's Dolores' son, Dolores being the cook, right? So Owen is the son, and he was doing impersonification of Elvis Presley. He was really good at it, he even won some contest, and he was playing the game. He would even sign as his idol, using his name as, signing his name as Elvis Presley, adding number 2 to it. When you do exit the room, you'll notice there's a little frame. You will see Owen's signature signing Elvis Presley number 2. That's to tell you that Elvis was not welcome in Quebec back then. He was too sexy in his shows.
Too sexy.
Yeah. And so that would cause riot. The clerk back then, the religion, the Catholic didn't want to handle this. So he was persona non grata in Quebec. But Elvis was married to a lady by the name of Priscilla, right? And her father passed away. So it's a gentleman born in Quebec that adopted Priscilla. And that gentleman came from Trois-Pistoles, a city on the other side of the river. So she still had family in here in Charlevoix. That is the reason why Elvis would come here, but he was not allowed to. So what he would do, he would use the great white boats, which are a cruise ship that resemble a little bit of the Titanic, and they didn't have to cross the border back then. So he would simply end up at Le Manoir Richelieu, which is the big hotel by the river. Once we got to know that Elvis was there, to please Owen, the owner, Mr. Seller invited Elvis to have a good steak here. So he came asking to be alone. He had his steak, and thereafter we had him for the visit of the labyrinth. He had the surprise of his life, seeing his name on the wall. So we explained him the story about Owen, that he was a great fan of Elvis. And he asked to meet with Owen.
Wow.
Owen was out of his mind. And to please Owen, he decided to sign his name within our wall. So you'll see the original signature of Elvis Presley that he signed in 1970. It's in a crooked frame. That's the original signature of Elvis. So there's the sun.
Back
Owen's
to the
signature.
tiny little room.
If you come my way.
That is Owen's signature.
There is Elvis's signature signed in 1970.
And this is Elvis's signature, 1970.
Years.
This is where she cooked for, oh good God. This is where she cooked for 38 years.
I would not 38 minutes.
Right. 38 minutes. Yes.
Owner sold it to Mrs. Joanne Brassard in 1996. She's local as well. She lives, her family house is 5 minutes from here, but she didn't know at all that it used to be a speakeasy bar. She didn't know why the labyrinth was for either. So she hired her mom to rebuild the history of the house, and thank God she's an historian. So she found the Sellers family residing in the States, and there was a big reunion of 4 beautiful ladies that we have in picture on the wall within the golden frame. On the left hand side, the lady with the black hair is Mrs. Shea. the mother of Mrs. Brassard, the actual owner. She's the historian. The lady with the white hair is Rosalie Salard. She's the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Salard. And the lady with the white blouse, tiny, is Dolores, the cook that has cooked 38 years in that tiny hellish kitchen. And it's Mrs. Brassard that took the picture. So this is where we got to know all about the story of the house. And it's thanks to those ladies that we are able to tell you the story today. The story would have gone and vanished with the passing of Mr. Salard, but I told you he's a gentleman that was ahead of his time, loved women. His story was vanished. Thanks to 4 beautiful ladies, we're able to tell his story again. So he's with us in thoughts.
So here is my meal. I'm going to talk it really fast because it's really loud and the music is playing. But I have the shrimp, baked potato, and vegetables for my meal at the Bootlegger. I'll tell you guys how it was later.
I didn't do it. So actually, what I want to talk with you guys is about your dessert, okay? Which is really special. Are you ready for it? All right, good. So you can take your place, Matt. It's in French actually, but you can take it and just flip it on the other side. I'll explain to you what that means. So for dessert, you got 3 choices. Either you eat, you suck, or you swallow. It will be a chocolate pie coming from Charlevoix. If you want to suck, it will be the boiled orange from Mr. Salard. So you all remember Mr. Salard, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so Mr. Salard, what he used to do, he used to take like an orange, and he put some alcohol inside of it to hide the action. So he gave that to every of his customers. There was some alcohol inside of it. So we kept that tradition. We take the orange, we boil it, we put a hole in it, and we put 1 ounce of green cream inside of it. There's like a special straw to go suck everything up. It's really weird, okay? The third dessert will be the choice if you want to swallow one of the 3 shooter desserts. The After 8, Black Forest, or Banana Split. And the recipe is written just beside. If you want to hallucinate, you'll have a homemade cheesecake. But the best of all those choices will be the Bootlegger coffee. So you can... And the guitar chef, let's rock!